The day Instructor Vekris decided to test Cadet Ryn Tahara was the day I stopped believing in coincidence. Let me back up. My name is Tan, Senior Observer for the Galactic Combat Academy, stationed on Outpost 7. I have witnessed exactly 473 species attempt our training programs. Most fail within the first rotation. Some die, though we try to prevent that. The humans? Well, they do what they always do. They laugh at death and ask for seconds. Ryn Tahara arrived on a supply transport 3 cycles ago. Unremarkable height for a human, maybe 1.7 meters, dark hair pulled back in what they call a ponytail, and eyes that reminded me of frozen nitrogen. Cold. Calculating. Terrifying in their complete lack of fear, the combat hall that morning smelled like ozone and regret. 32 cadets from 17 different worlds stood in formation, their breathing apparatus clicking and whirring in the thin atmosphere we maintain for cross-species compatibility. Vekris, our head combat instructor, a Crofan warrior with 4 arms and a temperament like a plasma leak, paced before them with his usual murderous enthusiasm. Today, Vekris announced, his translator struggling with his dialect, we discussed situational awareness. I had seen this lecture before. Boring stuff. Mostly. Pay attention to your surroundings, trust your instincts, blah blah blah. I was halfway through my third data pad of incident reports when Vekris did something unexpected. He pulled a combat knife from his belt. Now, these are not your standard cutting implements. Crofan combat knives are forged from compressed stellar core material, sharp enough to slice through battle armor like it is wet paper. Waited for throwing at velocities that would pulverize bone. Deadly does not begin to cover it. Vekris held the blade up, letting the artificial lighting catch its edge. Situational awareness, he repeated slowly, means processing threats before your conscious mind registers them. Then, without warning, without even a shift in his stance to telegraph the movement, he hurled the knife directly at Ryn. Time did something weird. I swear by the 3 moons of Talaxis, time actually slowed down. I saw the blade spinning, heard someone scream, probably Cadet Jormel from Proxima, he always screamed. The knife cut through the air with a sound like tearing silk. Ryn was facing the wrong direction, she had been adjusting her boot, back turned to Vekris, completely unaware. Or so I thought. The knife whistled toward the soft tissue between her shoulder blades. A kill shot by any calculation, and I was already reaching for the emergency medical alert. Then Ryn moved.
No, moved is the wrong word. She flowed. Her hand came up and back in one smooth motion, never even turning her head, and she caught the knife by its handle with a grip so precise that the blade stopped exactly 3 centimeters from her spine. The entire movement took maybe half a second. Maybe less. The combat hall went silent. Dead silent. Even the breathing apparatus seemed to hold their mechanical breath. Ryn straightened up, examined the knife in her hand with mild interest, then finally turned to face Vekris. Her expression had not changed. Not even slightly. She could have been examining a food ration. Is class over? She asked, her voice flat and utterly casual. Vekris, to his credit, did not show surprise easily. His 4 arms crossed over his chest, and I saw something flicker in his triple-set eyes. Respect, maybe. Or fear. With Crofan, those emotions often look identical. How? He demanded. Ryn shrugged, tossed the knife back to him with a casual flick that sent it spinning perfectly into his outstretched hand. Heard your breathing change. Felt the air pressure shift. Smelled the adrenaline spike in your sweat glands. She paused, tilted her head. Also, your shadow moved on the floor. Very slightly. But enough. You were not even looking, Vekris said. Do I need to? Ryn replied. The other cadets were staring now, their various anatomies conveying different levels of shock. Jormel had actually fainted, his species tends toward that when stressed. Another cadet, Mira Koss from the Verdant Systems, was making a gesture with her manipulator appendages that I recognized as a ward against evil. That I pulled up Ryn's file on my data pad with trembling digits. Human, yes. Age 23 in their solar cycles. Previous military experience listed as classified. Origin world marked as Earth, Sol System, Orion Arm. Nothing remarkable. Nothing that explained what I had just witnessed. Vekris stepped closer to her, close enough that his height advantage, nearly half a meter, should have been intimidating. You have done this before. Once or twice, Ryn admitted. Then, and I will never forget this, she smiled. Not a friendly smile. Not reassuring. The kind of smile that predators show before they strike. Want to try again? Maybe with something faster? Vekris stared at her for a long moment. Then he laughed, a sound like grinding stone, and slapped her shoulder with one of his 4 hands hard enough to stagger a Crothan warrior. Ryn did not move. Class dismissed. Vekris roared. Except you, Tahara. We need to talk. As the other cadets filed out, whispering in 19 different languages and dialects, I made a note in my report. Human cadet Ryn Tahara displays reflexes approximately 4.7 times faster than species standard, sensory awareness beyond documented human norms, and complete emotional control under lethal threat. Recommendation: monitoring required. Or possibly. I thought as I watched her follow Vekris toward the advanced training sector, protection required, for everyone else. The incident report I filed after the knife demonstration went through 6 levels of bureaucracy before someone actually read it. That someone was Commander Thelorix, station director, and the closest thing we had to someone who understood humans. He called me to his office exactly 4 hours after I submitted the documentation. You are certain about these measurements? He asked, his optical sensors focused on my data pad with uncomfortable intensity. Completely certain, I confirmed. I have reviewed the security footage 17 times. Her reaction time was not just fast. It was impossible by current human baseline standards. Thelorix made a sound like grinding metal, which in his species indicated deep thought. There are rumors about Earth military programs. Enhancement protocols they deny exist. Black operations hidden behind classified barriers thick enough to stop sensor sweeps. He paused. Perhaps Cadet Tahara is more than she appears. Should we remove her from the program? I asked. Absolutely not. Thelorix's sensors flared bright orange, his version of surprise. Do you understand how rare it is to get actual human volunteers for our academy? Most humans think our training is too soft. Too gentle. They prefer their own military schools, where apparently they throw each other off cliffs and call it team building. He waved several appendages in frustration. No, we keep her. We watch her. We learn what makes humans so ridiculously effective at combat. So I watched, over the next 3 cycles, Ryn Tahara proceeded to demolish every single training record we had on file. Hand-to-hand combat? She disabled a Thorian heavy warrior in under 10 seconds, using nothing but leverage and what she called pressure points. Weapons qualification? Perfect scores across 17 different weapon systems, including 3 she claimed to have never seen before. Tactical simulation? She beat the scenario designed to be mathematically unwinnable by doing something so crazy that the computer literally stopped functioning for 6 minutes trying to process it. She walked into an ambush simulation with no weapons and convinced the enemy AI that she was actually on their side. Then she led them into their own trap. The programming department is still arguing about how she hacked their code using nothing but verbal commands and psychological manipulation, but the moment I knew Ryn was something completely different happened during survival training. Instructor Vekris had designed a scenario he called the Gauntlet, a 3-kilometer course through hazard zones that simulated combat environments from 14 different hostile planets. Radiation zones, gravity wells, acid pools, automated defense systems, the works. Cadets were expected to complete it in teams of 4. The record time was 47 minutes, set by a Crothen Special Forces unit 3 years ago. Ryn volunteered to run it solo. "Absolutely not," Vekris said flatly. "You will die. The course requires multiple skill sets. Navigation, technical expertise, medical knowledge, combat proficiency. No single being can possess all necessary capabilities." Ryn just smiled that terrifying smile again. "Want to bet?" They did bet, actually. Vekris wagered a month of his personal ration credits. Ryn bet nothing, because apparently humans enjoy doing insane things for free. I watched from the observation deck as she entered the course. The first zone was a gravity anomaly that fluctuated between crushing pressure and zero gravity at random intervals. Most cadets needed specialized equipment and constant communication with their team to navigate it safely. Ryn closed her eyes, listened for exactly 8 seconds, then started moving. She timed each step perfectly to the gravity shifts, practically dancing through a death trap that had injured hundreds of cadets over the years. She crossed it in 3 minutes flat. The radiation zone should have forced her to use the shielded pathways, adding 15 minutes to any run. Instead, she found a maintenance tunnel that our own engineers had forgotten existed, marked only by a ventilation grate with slightly different corrosion patterns than the surrounding metal. She crawled through ductwork barely wide enough for her frame and emerged on the other side before the monitoring system even registered her entry. The acid pools? She used debris from previous failed attempts to build a bridge in under 2 minutes, calculating weight distribution and structural integrity in her head while toxic fumes literally dissolved the air filters on her breathing apparatus. When she reached the automated defense grid, the system that had taken out entire cadet teams with its plasma turrets and seeker drones, she did something that made my respiratory system seize up. She walked through it, just walked. Straight down the center corridor, hands in her pockets, whistling some human tune I did not recognize. The targeting systems locked onto her immediately, 17 different weapon systems charging to fire, and Ryn simply looked up at the nearest sensor cluster. "Hello," she said conversationally. "Your targeting algorithm has a 0.3-second delay between lock acquisition and firing authorization. Your tracking sensors compensate for targets moving at speeds up to 40 meters per second. Your ammunition is plasma-based, which means you need 0.7 seconds charge time between shots." She started walking again. "I can move faster than your systems can compensate for. But I would rather not waste the energy. So how about we make a deal?" The defense grid did not respond. It was not programmed for conversation. Ryn continued anyway. "I know there is an observation port behind panel 7B, someone is watching this run, probably recording it. Probably Kaltan, because he has been following me around like a nervous parent for 3 cycles now." She waved at the exact panel where my primary camera was mounted. "Hi, Kaltan. I nearly dropped my data pad. So here is my offer," Ryn said to the defense grid. "You shoot at me, I dodge everything, waste everyone's time, and prove that your systems need upgrading. Or you let me pass, I set a new course record, and you get to maintain your reputation as unbeatable because technically, I did not beat you. I just negotiated." There was a long pause. Then, and I still do not believe this actually happened, the defense grid powered down. Ryn walked through without a scratch, finished the course in 19 minutes and 42 seconds, and met Vekris at the exit with that same calm expression she always wore. "Is class over?" she asked. Vekris stared at her for a full minute. Then he reached into his equipment harness, pulled out his ration credit chip, and handed it over without a word. That night, I updated my report with a new conclusion. Cadet Ryn Tahara does not simply exceed human baseline capabilities. She represents something Earth has not officially acknowledged. A weapon disguised as a volunteer. A predator pretending to be a student, and the terrifying part? She was bored. When I filed the report, I added one final note. If this is what humans send to our academy for basic training, what exactly do they keep at home? Commander Thelorix responded within the hour. That is precisely what worries me. Ryn Tahara graduated top of her class 6 cycles later. She left on the same transport she arrived on, gave me a casual salute, and said something I still think about every rotation. Thanks for the vacation, Kaltan. Tell Vekris the real training starts when I get home. I never did ask what she meant. That I am afraid of the answer.